Hello and welcome to this week's episode of CSR Digest. CSR Digest is a news and current affairs half-hour program that focuses on the corporate social responsibilities of IOCs, with main focus on Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited corporate social responsibility to its host and neighboring communities. This week we are looking at youth development as it concerns summer boot camp that was held in Calabar, headquarters of Cross River State and River State, respectively. Enjoy the rest of the program. A society without the youth is a society without a future. Hence, the cliché, the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. There is an axiom: build the youth, build the nation. You will agree with me that a skilled and educated youth forms a progressive nation. In the past, the OML 58 operational areas were in a turmoil and disarray as restive youths rampaged everywhere, resulting to economic downturn, loss of means of livelihood, poverty, hunger, and diseases. These restive youths moved from point to point, kidnapping, stealing, killing, and maiming, making life unbearable for the rural dwellers. In the face of all this, the security agencies were overwhelmed as the situation became worse by the day. Filled with passion and grace, and in realization of the fact that nothing thrives in the face of chaos and confusion, a non-governmental organization, Youth Connect for Peace Network, YKPN, with support from Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited, put together an annual holiday program, Summer Boot Camp, for young secondary school students from host and neighboring communities. Aimed at changing the narrative from cultism-driven society to a more peaceful and prosperous one, the summer boot camp afforded the contingents opportunity to interact, network, study, and break new grounds. The annual program is also an avenue to encourage the children to imbibe good moral values and eschew cult-related activities, as well as become ambassadors of peace through peer review mechanism. Their program of action involves forming of peace clubs and subsequent follow-ups. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the program so far?
Increasing in number, I strongly believe that 2018 is really, let's say, that supersede that of 2017. So I really believe that this year's one is better, way better, and a lot of other courses we've added that has really made unique difference from that of last year.
On the part of the development partner, Total EMP Nigeria Limited, representative of the company admonished participants to endeavor to acquire knowledge and skills that will help in shaping their future irrespective of the rigors involved, stressing that such opportunities only come but to a privileged few. Reaffirmed the company's commitment at supporting every program aimed at promoting the welfare of children of host and neighboring communities.
What is your policy? Going to preach peace, making sure that our younger ones do not join they well or they are. Let's not join such clubs. Let's not allow any person, including politicians, to distract us. Some will come and tell you, come and vote for me once you are 18 years. And they will tell you, they will give you 10, 15 cards to complete. Tell them, no, you are well trained to be able to be useful in your civic way.
The YKPN Summer Boot Camp is a deliberate effort by the two organizations to forestall imminent juvenile decadence in the society. Welcome to the discussion segment of CSR Digest. I have with me here to discuss all these issues with a former youth leader, Obogu Youth Association, and a youth leader in Egi and River State at large. Today I'm here with Kingsley Ogu. Kingsley Ogu has been a role model to some of the OML 58 youths, and of course he is here to talk to them and to advise on the way forward in youth development. Welcome to CSR Digest.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now when we are talking about youth development as it concerns Total EMP, I think this has been embedded in their CSR policy. And talking about the corporate social responsibility of Total EMP, how do you look at their policy as it concerns youth? And so far, are you satisfied with what Total EMP is doing when it comes to youth development in their host communities?
Well, yeah, thank you very much for your question. Corporate social responsibility is a very serious responsibility for any corporate organization.
Yeah.
And it has to be taken very seriously. In the case of Total, it's a very smart company. They understand that the population in Omer 58 is arguably though 80 youths and 20% non-youth. For that purpose, they have well thought out their plans, their programs, their actions that it has to do with empowering the host communities to favor the youth. So to answer you directly, yes, their programs as it has to do with the youth are satisfactory, especially when you put that into direct comparison to what other IOC companies are doing.
Okay. In the past, we went to Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, where youths were gathered in one of these tourist centers, and they were taught on the rudiments of life and how to be self-reliant and all that. A lot of activities went there, and because it's a it's a week-long activity, and a lot of youths were trained from, they are drawn from different secondary schools across host communities. And I saw you there. One of those days I saw you, you came to address the youths. What do you think, or what do you make of that event?
It was a perfect event.
Yeah.
A perfect event in the sense that 90% of the kids there haven't had that experience. Even most of the managers who thought it wise to implement such program were not opportune to have such experience. If you can recall vividly on the activities that took place there at Calabar,
yeah,
they were very educative, very, very educative in the sense that they cut across every part of endeavor with the target to prevent youth restiveness.
And then, as a youth leader, were you able to follow up to ask who has been touched by that program?
Yes, we were able to follow up to actually not only to ensure that peace clubs are established in various schools in Omer 58,
Yes.
but we were able to follow up to ensure that they put it into practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure that with the door-to-door campaign that we initiated, executed during the period under review, mm-hmm, has serious impact. For example, if you consider the just concluded election in River State, it's baffling to see that it was only in Onelga that had no problem during the election. Okay. There was no gunshot, there was no youth restiveness. That was not only because we have learned our lessons, given what cultism had cost our people. Okay. It was also because of some of these programs that Total have initiated, implemented, especially in Omer 58. Mm-hmm. The impact was evident in the past election.
Okay. So what that means is that optimistically we are looking at total peace in OMF 58. Now, how can this be translated into other parts of the state? Because you can see that it is not just Total EMP that River State hosts. We have other IOCs within the state. Can this be replicated in other communities? Is it possible?
It is very, very possible. But before I go there, let me clear a little issue. I'm not talking about total peace, mm-hmm, and again, okay, because it is difficult to achieve absolute peace.
Okay.
Then, in replicating this in other parts of River State, it is very possible and easy. Mm-hmm. We don't have only Total operating in River State.
At all, yes.
I am very glad with such program because I know it is going to challenge other oil companies that haven't had very good reputation in River State.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for them to invest on the people. Okay. Their investments on the people have been brought into question consistently, if they can imitate such programs, I'm sure that what we got in Onelga in the past election is possible to replicate in other parts of River State. Because nobody, first people have to understand that nobody has monopoly of violence. Okay? And I'm sure that every part of River State have witnessed violence recently or in the past. Okay. And then we have seen the consequences of it, what it has cost us. So because of that, youths are eager to move away from that path. So programs like this can actually create the sense, the cycle that is needed to move from that negative path to the positive path. Okay. And then not only that too, I think it is important that they go extra mile to ensure that it's not only educative but building capacity to it that can provide decent livelihood for youth.
Are you optimistic with this? Are you optimistic that this program, if sustained, can create better impact than what it used to be?
Well, first let me talk a little on the narrative you talked about.
Yes.
The perception that an average Niger Delta youth is a cultist.
Okay.
That is not true.
Okay.
But assuming it is true, considering the fact that up to 60 to 70% of Niger Delta youth have friends, associates of youths that are not from Niger Delta, you should also follow that those other zones too are equally cultist.
Okay.
I am talking not just making opinion. I'm drawing my strength from doing sub-balance theory of differential association, which states that people tend to do what their friends do to their influence. So if we are cultists and we have friends from Yoruba houses,
yes.
from the east houses, from the northern houses, who are our associates, there are also possibility, very high possibility that they are equally what we are. But having said so, I'm not denying totally that the issue of courtesans have not raised its head in one or two places in Niger Delta. So also other youth issues too have reared its head in other zones. To also answer your question, I am very optimistic that if such programs are executed in the whole of Niger Delta, the atmosphere will change. The narrative you talked about will also change.
All right, we'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion segment. Don't forget, this is CSR Digest, a program initiated and executed by Total EMP to X-ray the issue of corporate social responsibility as it concerns their company. Stay tuned, we'll come back.
Represented by the Manager, Community Affairs Offshore and Port Harcourt, Okechukwu Obara, Mr. Oro congratulated the participants who underwent various skills trainings through well-articulated models and charged them to be good ambassadors of society. According to him, the training afforded them the opportunity to develop skills on conflict prevention and resolution, therefore should count themselves lucky, adding that they were carefully selected through a rigorous but transparent process. The Deputy General Manager urged youths to remain law-abiding, shun every appearances of criminality, pipeline vandalism, and other social vices.
As you go to your various homes and schools, you will continue or begin to manifest the qualities of good leadership and inspire your colleagues, your brothers, and fellow students to become positive civic engagers at table, such that through you, the change we desire will come.
Chairman, Egi Joint Community Youths Kingsley Ogu and Summer Boot Camp Commandant Bright Abale commended Total EMP for exploring the potentials of youths from host and neighboring communities and challenged the youths to leverage on the opportunities provided by the training to protect their future and posterity. They sued for sustainability of the program in order to have more peace ambassadors in oil and gas bearing communities in particular and society at large.
This is preventive. This is cheaper. The other one is more expensive because you educate them towards a manner that they will know that there is no compromise for peace. they will understand that peace is priceless.
They will try to pick out a champion in them and to see how they too can be trainers when they return home. They will not train other people in the same message, because we have a model, the training from the side of leadership, the side of craft, and the side of moral and some societal ills that is bedeviling the areas where Total is operating.
There were goodwill messages from community affairs officers as drama and cultural displays added color to the event. Participants interviewed expressed satisfaction with the knowledge gained.
I have gained a lot of knowledge. I have been lectured in many topics like effect of cultism on youth development, pipeline vandalism, a problem of youth leadership and development, security awareness, entrepreneurship development, and craft workshops. I have learned a lot of things.
Every day is like a new experience to me. I've been gaining more knowledge on things I've never known before.
I educate family members on the effect of cultism, you know, how it brings no gain to society, how cultism has no advantage. And I'll move to my school, head up an anti-social vice club where I can educate my peer group, like my peers, on dangers of cultism.
Firstly, when I get home, I'll start from my neighborhood. I will educate them on the dangers of cultism and also other social vices. Secondly, I'll go to my school, I will establish a YKPN club. I will take permission from the principal. I and my peers will establish the club and educate the students. From there, the message can be spread.
I've gained how to wake up early in the morning, do morning exercises, and how to pray in the night, meditate, and we have been lectured on how the effects of drug abuse, why youth like us should not take drugs and abuse drugs.
Certificates were presented to participants at the end of the event.
Welcome back. This is CSR Digest on RSTV. There seems to be relative calm between the host communities and the company.
Well, it is obvious.
Yes.
In the past 4 years, there was a deliberate reshuffle of the department that is in charge of corporate social responsibilities in Total, which is a corporate CAD. It was before community relations, and now I don't know what it's called anymore, but it's no longer community relations, though they are also performing the work of community relations. Community development division, that's what it is now. The caliber of people there are people that are actually people-oriented. They are not only interested in ensuring that these jobs are awarded, programs are carried out without execution. They are also doing what they call follow-up. So it is getting to the people. And youth programs are, contract has to do with youth programs are this time given to the youth to execute. And because when you're doing something for your contemporaries, you have this fear. So the execution is up to 80 to 90%. That has impacted on the agitation that the youth have always had. Yeah. You know, when we talk about this corporate social responsibility, it's above, goes beyond the program they had at Calabar, the one they had in River State. It also includes all other programs, schemes such as skills acquisition, scholarships that the company is giving to the people. So if you watch now, there is a transparency in management of these schemes, these scholarships. So the efforts that the people are direct beneficiaries of it. And this hasn't been
directly owning.
Yes, this hasn't been the case in the past. So these two have a way of imparting the relationship we have with Total positively. So that is responsible for the cortege of.
So in this regard now, what advice do you have for Total EMP in one hand and the people in the other hand?
On the part of Total EMP, advised the CAD, the Community Development Division of Total, which is responsible for implementing Total's corporate social responsibility, that given their regime now of making employment opportunities open to everyone in the country, there is need for them to reform the educational sector in again, not just spending money. You agree with me that the schools in Again are nothing to write home about. They are not competitive schools.
Okay.
They are not schools that an average Again person would like to take his children to. So on that note, I have suggested to them that there is no need having every school in the community, every awarding contract for renovation of these schools without reasonable renovation. Therefore, there should be need for 4 regional schools that will cover the 4 communities each in each of the zones in Again, which is the primary place of Home 58 and their operation. By so doing, this school should be so equipped that if those of you or those of them that are living in Port Harcourt will be troubled, because one of the reasons why we are in Port Harcourt, or why they claim to be in Port Harcourt, is to have a good education for their children.
Okay.
So if we have good education in Again, you will see people relocating to Again, and you will see people producing children that will be competitive. And these schools should be so comprehensive in such a way that the skill acquisition center should be part of the schools. So the money, yes, the money that we are spending in looking for trainers from elsewhere can also be within. And then they can also reform the regime of the skill and scholarships.
Thank you so much. Now,
then,
on the part
of the youth, these are opportunities. These are opportunities that not many are able to have. Even those that are, some of them that are managers today in Total do not have these opportunities we have. So I've always talked to them to utilize their opportunity. If it comes in form of education, grab it, make the best out of it. If it is coming in form of skills, get it and make the best out of it. You don't waste opportunity and go back to disturb the company. It doesn't work that way.
All right. Move to the communities now. If anybody is given a starter pack after skills acquisition training, if you are given a starter pack and you are found selling that starter pack, can we now, recommend a punitive measure? You are a youth leader. Is it possible? Maybe using this theory.
It is difficult to achieve because if you look at the legality of the whole process, there is ownership.
Okay.
After training, you hand over starter pack to Mr. A, whom you have trained. At that point, it becomes his property. So if he sells, there is only so much you can do, but not to the level that you can implicate him, except during admission, he signs an undertaking that he is not going to disclose that based on so reason. And that way, you can't punish him legally. But as it is today, except there is that private form, there is only so much they can do.
All right. Can I now, suggest that as a, you suggest it to you to see how these youths can be made to sign such an undertaking? Because it's becoming so ridiculous that a company will spend huge sum of money to train a youth to be self-reliant. At the end of the day, you see that youth roaming about the street when you're asking, those starter packs are nowhere to be found. Is there any way we can just put that as one of our bylaws in the community?
Why I am not totally against having such column for such undertaking.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe that is the best option.
Okay.
I would suggest, for example, that the starter pack, if it is 100,000, for example, and then the property, the equipment that are needed to start up your choosing training, I suggest that 50% of all that should be given to you. Then upon operation, when you make it operational, then they can later bring that. That will serve as an incentive for those who would have wanted to sell, to start up something, knowing that within 3 months or 6 months later, another set of it, which is 50% of it, will be coming. Because sometimes when you get started, it's difficult to let go. So when they get started, they may not sell. So I think measures like that should be taken instead of adding an undertaking that I think might have a counter reaction. Now I'm just a leader.
Well, you're a leader, and it's one thing to be a leader, it's another to lead well, and it's another, the third one, to be heard and to be embraced by those you are leading. Well, thank
In
you.
democracy, it's difficult to actually implement these things because you, as a leader, you make suggestions and you allow the people, the opinion of the people, to override their personal interest. Though there are also camps, there has to be a state where you'll be dogged to say this is what I want. Exactly. But youth leadership is only a part of, is only a stake among stakeholders.
Well, I think that's true anyway. Thank you so much, Kingsley Ogu, for coming on the program, and we hope that the solutions or the advice profiled on this platform will be able to go a long way to see how our youth will be developed progressively. Our youth will be developed materially, financially, and self-reliant. Well, viewers, this is the much we can take on this week's episode of CSR Digest. The program will come your way again next week, Friday, God willing. Until then, bye-bye.